everyone. We are back for chapter 6, talking about advertising. Again, more words and terms that we're going to go from BU 151 that we're going to go a little bit more in depth with. Segmentation, positioning, and the value proposition. So here we go with the framework. Here we are. This whole section is about analyzing the environment. So we're talking about STP marketing and advertising. We're talking about segments in marketing, targeting, and value and brand propositions. So again, we'll see this is an example of integrated brand promotion and action. Hilton Hotels. So we're going to talk about segmenting, targeting, positioning, and how this is just an example of how Hilton uses it. Hilton Hotels uses it. You can take a look at it a little bit closer and think about that to yourself. Okay, so segmenting, targeting, and positioning, STP marketing. So markets are broken down into segments. It's a group of potential customers. And the segments are targeted that you focus on one group. You focus your advertising and your integrated brand promotion on one group that has some sort of common interest or needs. Then you position them. You position your product in comparison to your competitors so that it has a clear position in the market. So, for example, Mercedes versus Acura, or Toyota versus Honda, something like that. Coke versus Pepsi, McDonald's versus Burger King. How is it your McDonald's versus Chipotle, Starbucks versus Dunkin' Donuts? How do they position themselves in the market? So there are different ways that you segment a market. And we're going to talk about some of them: geography, psychographics. Geography, obviously, where people live. Psychographics, how people spend their time and money. The benefits of the product. How committed someone is to a brand. What their usage patterns are: casual, everyday. Their demographics: age, gender, race, income, education level. Their lifestyles. How they spend what they do with their time, and their social class. These are different ways that we target markets, or segment markets. I'm sorry. So usage and commitment level. There are heavy users, people committed users, they use it all the time. They purchase the same products more frequently and more than others. The one side of heavy user segmentation plan is that the devoted users might not need any encouragement to keep consuming, so you don't necessarily need to spend the money on advertising, so you might miss some other people. And also, and as I said, takes attention away from people who you really should be focusing on, trying to convince to buy your product or tell them more about your brand. Okay, so there are some different ways that heavy users may differ from the average or the infrequent users. The motivation to consume, why is it that they're buying it? Is it because they really need it? Is it because they see some sort of status associated with it? What's the image of the brand? That kind of thing. And brand freaks, not to harp on Apple users, but some Apple users are just so devoted to Apple and they love everything about Apple. And the same thing could be said about people who use Google, all the Google products. So that they're extremely dedicated and they're fanatical about the brand. Okay, switchers choose brands that offer price incentives. So those would be when we talked about types of customers in BU 151. Remember, we talked about butterflies. That butterflies have low loyalty but high profit. So they move from place to place, or they also could be considered. To a certain extent, you also might be able to consider them not necessarily strangers, but they're people who only buy when it's convenient for them. So emergent consumers are first-time buyers. We like those because hopefully first-time buyers will become second-time buyers, and maybe they're still deciding what brands they're interested in, and it's the first time they're buying a car, the first time they're buying furniture, the first time that they're buying work clothes, that kind of thing. Okay, so demographics. Again, what we talked about, just to review as to what demographics are. It's a objective way to measure a population. We look at age, gender, race, marital status, income, education, and occupation. Those are the demographic. That's how you divide the market in terms of demographics. But all those things, demographics don't tell the whole story about a person. Okay, so how would you apply it? That you describe profile segments that have identified with some other variable, say, that fall into a certain demographic that are also, say, athletic or interested in arts and culture, and it's the way you start out. So geographic segmentation can be done either country, region, by country, within a country, by region, by state, or by province, by city, or even by neighborhood, depending. And then geodemographic segmentation identifies neighborhoods that share common demographic characteristics. They might not be adjacent to each other, but locally in Western New York, maybe Orchard Park and Clarence have some similarities, but they share common demographic characteristics, even though they're not near each other. Or suburbs of medium-sized U.S. cities, suburbs of Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Detroit, or Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo. So psychographics are, again, people's activities, how they spend their time and money, their opinions. They add to the demographic information, and they also they help to determine what people's lifestyles are. So, and that would be a lifestyle segmentation. So, as I said, people who spend their weekends hiking and canoeing and camping, or people that spend their weekends going to movies and plays and concerts and that kind of thing. Okay, benefit segmentation. What is it that the benefit that people are looking for? So, are they looking for warranties? Are they looking for follow-up customer service? Are they looking for an opportunity for to use it with another one of your products, that kind of thing? So depending upon how they're going to, what the benefits are. Extra products, that kind of thing. Okay, then business to business markets. Consumer markets are for people like you and me who buy things for their individual, for themselves or for their houses. And business markets are people who buy things to be used in the production of other products or services, and it also can be overhead, computers and desks and that kind of thing, or actually the raw materials, or people that are in resellers. Someone like Wegmans buys box cases of cereal and then resells those cereals. So business markets, again, they are divided up in different ways depending on the company. Some might base it on usage rates or amount of money they spend. It could be based on geographically, regionally, New England states, Mid-Atlantic, Southwest, Northwest, the Plain states, whatever. Or you can divide them up. You can use the North American Industrial Classification System if you wanted to do that in terms of what industry you're selling to, automotive, tech, that kind of thing. And then also where you are, if you have first-time customers, repeat customers, again, the benefits that people are looking for, and how people segment their business-to-business market depends upon their own industry, depends upon their capabilities, depends upon their organizational goals. It's going to change from company to company. So, again, we want to talk about how much can the organization provide what the company is looking for. Is there enough size in that? Is there enough potential growth in the segment, or is it too small of a segment? Is it profitable enough? Is there return on investment for the amount of sales time you put into, say, selling to certain types of supermarkets or selling to certain types of restaurants? And also this idea of what's your competition like? Can you beat out the competition? Is there enough? Is your beauty care product line enough to compete with, say, L'Oreal or Maybelline or something like that? And then there's also niche marketing. Niche marketing is this idea that you want a large portion of a smaller market. Okay, so brand opportunity, I'm sorry, that is not coming up. But I don't know why that is. But anyhow, this talks about, it's just a sort of looks at other things as with the brand opportunity in terms of the relevance, the credibility of the brand, how difficult is it, how different is your product. But so that you can see that on the notes. Okay, so targeting. Talk about segmenting. Now we're going to talk about targeting. So delivering branding effort efficiently to the chosen segments, and it's this idea of positioning or repositioning the product. So we position a product. Buick is kind of going through that right now. That they're repositioning their product as for a product, for younger, active people. So you want to think about this idea that your best opportunities is to see how relevant the product is to your customer. How much do customers really believe in the brand? How different is your brand? So how different is Buick from, say, a Toyota? And will it become something that customers are interested in over time? So also talking about brand repositionings, Dove, you can kind of see that Dove ad is the Dove is repositioning to attract older women. We saw another Dove commercial in the last chapter. Okay, so this idea of a value proposition. So a value proposition is a statement of the benefits offered by a product. Offered by a brand which create value for the customer. So what is it? Is it quality? Is it customer service? Is it variety? Is it availability? Is it delivery? Is it, what is it that you do better than your customers? And then you have to say what your brand promise is. What are you going to give to the customer? Is it extended warranty? Is it, long-lasting durability? That kind of thing. And then this idea of the brand platform, it's the big idea or the core idea that target audiences are interested in. So over time. So with the soap example, maybe it's younger skin or affordability or whatever. Okay, so I'm sorry again, can't see this, but you can see it on your notes, and it's the same as the other one. Looking at the brand opportunity, looking at the relevance, the credibility, the stretch in terms of can you actually can you measure it, and how different are you? All right. The other thing too is you want to make sure you can deliver on the promise. So if you promise a long-term customer care, that you actually provide that. If you can promise on long-term health benefits, that you actually can deliver on that. So how consistent is your product, and is the product that you're sending out and the messages, and how you also sending a simple message is very important for customers, because people have so much running at them all the time, so they want to be able to have a simple message that is distinctive from someone else. So you clearly know what Tim Hortons offers, you clearly know what Dunkin' Donuts offers, and you all know how they're different, and so they behold all these distinct, separate positions in the mind of the consumer. Oh, another one. Well, we can kind of see it. It's a triangle, again, in the notes. So you want to talk about strategic planning. You want to identify and profile your target segments. And then you need to consolidate the value proposition for the brand. So you have your segments, you come up with the value proposition, and then you select a group of persuasive tools to tell your client, your customer base about that. So we're going to see a bunch of examples coming up. So Apple delivers on their platform with special events. We see that in the fall. They have their own special events that will introduce their new products. So Armani comes out as they position their product as a luxury brand. This is Chanel. Chanel also brands as a luxury brand. Simple, very simple, easy to understand ads and distinctive. Vans is known for having street style. The Toyota Prius is known for being green. We're back to Doritos as the bold brand we saw in the last chapter. Chobani Yogurt proposes a healthy, it's a positions themselves as the healthy alternative for yogurt. And then finally, Samsung positions themselves as being a very modern and a modern company which goes in along with their high-tech industry. Okay, so that's it. That's a quick look at Chapter 6 and looking at STP, segmenting, targeting, and positioning. It's an effort to better understand your customers. Okay, thanks everyone. We'll see you back here for Chapter 7.